Have you ever worked in a workplace where it's mainly blokes? I have, not many, but a few. One of them was the trams. And this is about Desi Freeman. But one of it was about the trams. Now, I worked in a depot with 150 guys, about that. And a few women, just a few women. And what was really interesting was how well they got on. There wasn't ever any fisticuffs or anything like that. There was a few blow-ups, but not many. But they just got on. And amongst these men, most of them were conservative or quiet, but there was a small handful of men who were outspoken, and they had these different ideas. One guy believed that we were genetically modified apes. Another one believed something about the Bible. I can't remember. They had these beliefs that were different from a lot of the other guys, and they were quite happy to debate them with anyone who would debate them, but often the guys wouldn't. The guys just used to not laugh at them, but laugh with them, pat them on the shoulder and go, yeah, mate, no worries of this. Or they were just seen as eccentric, but that was okay because they were our lads. They were our brothers. They were just the slightly crazy brothers, and it was okay. As a community, we could accommodate them, not a problem. And I think our community in Australia has a lot of people like that still, but in the past, instead of them calling them cookers or anti-vaxxers or sovereign citizens, they were just a little eccentric. They just believed things differently, and as Australians, we didn't care. But then what was really interesting is that a new company got the contract for the trams, and they did care. They got rid of all these characters. Anyone might find offensive, and they were gone. And some of them had been there 20, 30 years. They were just marched out of the door for slight indiscretions, or they actually made up reasons to get rid of them. They were gone. And they ended up with two kinds of workers. One, the small group who would parrot whatever the company policy was in order to try get a promotion, and the others just shut the fuck up. They didn't know what would get them in trouble, so they shut up. So we went from this incredibly vibrant staff room of men to this silent staff room where people were scared to speak. And what was really interesting in there is I'd just written a suicide prevention play, Marooned, and one of the motivators for that play was I spoke to a lot of the old drivers, and I said, look, you've been here 40 years. And you've got mainly mature men here, and these are the high suicide risk men. These are the ones that make up the stats of suicide. In the 40 years, how many suicides has there been of drivers? And the answer, 0. And so it made me theorize that men need men, and they don't need men to sit down like and have an opera chat and all cry. They just need to be around blokes where they are accepted for being themselves. And that's what we did with these who had very different ideas about everything. We accepted them for that. That's how they thought, that's how they were. We accept them for that. Not a problem, and we all got on. But in the modern Australia, it seems that we can't tolerate this. If you don't parrot what the government believes, if you don't follow the compliant herd, then you're seen as a danger to society, a sovereign citizen, a cooker, an anti-vaxxer, and nothing that comes out of your mouth you can't listen to it. It's all bullshit. And what's really interesting now is Carl Stefanovic has come out, and he's interviewing the people like I've been interviewing for years, and suddenly everyone's listening going, oh, Carl's so great. Have you listened to Rennick? Oh my God, Rennick is so clever. Because Carl has given the cowardly Australians permission to hear people from our side. So I've interviewed Rennick 3 years ago, a powerful interview, and it's done okay. It's been shared around like crazy, but a lot of people wouldn't listen to it because it came from cookers. Anyway, so I met Desi a few years ago, way before the shooting, and went to his farm, or the farm he was staying on. Met his wife, who was lovely, his kid. I didn't really meet him. He was there. I think he was there. It's so long ago, but that was it. And then the next time I heard of him, of course, is the great shooting. But let's look at that. And this is why, people are getting angry. Why isn't the public hating upon Desi? He shot 2 cops, and he did. And those police officers not only had families and friends, but the young guy probably had dreams and things that he wanted to do. And that's all gone now. He'll never achieve anything because he's dead. And that is a real tragedy. But let's look at it. Obviously, Desi was not violent. They put videos of him in court asking the prosecutor to arrest the judge, asking the police officer to arrest the prosecutor because he wouldn't arrest the judge. Was he right? Was he wrong? Who knows? I don't know. I don't know the law at all. But the thing is, that's all they really had. That and a few other things, interactions with cops where he never did any violence. In fact, I think he ran away, but he did speak out. And that was it. And now suddenly they've got 10 cops at his bus on this farm where he's just hiding away from society, and they're talking about historical sex charges. And all we know is that apparently in the country he went skinny dipping with his own kids and some other girl saw. And I'm sorry, this is the country. We've been skinny dipping since we arrived in the country. So that's an historical sex charge. That's a reason to send 10 armed police officers to do it just kind of didn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense to why you need 10 to get this guy who had no history of violence, but who's been pushed and pushed and pushed because like the guys in the trams have different points of view. He's got a different points of view. He's challenging authority. Which is nowadays is something you simply can't do, even if you're just doing it verbally. Anyway, then of course the shit happens, and we hear about it, and he's on the run, and none of us know what happened because the police won't really tell us exactly what happened. They must have body cams. We can't see the body cams. How the hell did he get away from the cops that he didn't? There was 10 of them. How did he get away from the others? All mysteries. We don't know, and they won't let us know. And now we'll never really hear because Desi's dead. And so it's all sort of mysterious, and it doesn't make sense. And unfortunately, a lot of us we just don't no longer just believe what the government says or authorities say. The last few years have been too sus. So we're just wait on, Kel. We're just waiting, just trying to figure it out. But what we knew was either he was dead, or the cops had already killed him, or they would kill him. And of course, now he is. He gets found, and as far as I know, he's been shot like 21 times or something. He's just been shot to pieces. And we kind of knew that was going to happen. And will we ever see what happened there? Will we ever hear the recording? Will our curiosity ever be slated? I don't know. But what I do know is previous to the police officers turning up at this man's bus to serve him or to arrest him for these historical sex charges, before then, no one had heard of Desi really. In our community, maybe, but as a country, no one had heard of him. But now, thanks to the murders of the cops, thanks to him being on the run, and thanks again to the cops shooting him like they have done, just, shot him to pieces, what has happened is all they've killed is the body. They have let his spirit free. They have made him immortal. Desi, Freeman, is now basically in the same realm as Ned Kelly. They've created a legend that they will never be able to snuff out. And they've done that not by being victims of this crazy guy, but by pushing this man who thought differently from you to an edge that he broke. Where basically, we live in a community now where people think you can change gender, just like today I'm a woman. That's fucking crazy. They believe the climate change is real, even though the evidence is overwhelming, and they're destroying our economy because basically we're believing that climate change is real, which is coming out that it's not. That's effing crazy. But that's allowed because that's government allowed crazy, which is okay. But Desi had other ideas. And now, whether you like it or not, he'll always be around. And if you want to keep him alive, or if you want to see how deeply his ghost is going to haunt us, It's in his name. Free man. Desi felt like his freedoms were being taken away, and so he challenged the government because he felt that a lot of his freedoms were taken away. And now his spirit, whether you like it or not, is free. He is a free man, thanks to the actions of the police and the Victorian government. And that's just how it is. I don't know which way you think about it, but that's it. They took an ordinary, or they took a quiet man who no one had ever heard about, who had issues with the government, but had never done anything really violent. And now we have a legend, and the legend will outlive us all.